Thanks, Tony. Yeah, really looking forward to getting back home. Night game here in Kroger Stadium with a packed house. We need that. Certainly, we went on the road a week, this past week, and it affected us. We did not play very good. The number one topic we talk about is handling the environment, and obviously we did not handle that situation, that environment, that game very well at any level. I've addressed that post-game, and I will reiterate that today. Same as I felt during the game. Just outcoached, outplayed, and in every area, and we need to get back to work and be a better football team. You're going to face adversity in this league. The teams we play, you're going to hit some tough patches. It's how you respond, and how you react to it, and how you move forward. You could sit there and look at our league, and we're barely at a halfway point, and there's one team in our league that's undefeated. If I'm not mistaken, they haven't lost a league game in 23 games. There's a reason for that. They're doing some things at an extremely high level. Give them the credit for what they did Saturday night and the way they played. And as for us, it's got to get back to controlling the things we can control, and that's how we prepare. We got to get some guys healthy. We got to get healed up. We got to have a great week of practice. And we got to be ready for a very big game here this week. Both teams coming in here this week at 5-1. I've been very impressed with Missouri and the way they're playing. Their quarterback, Brady Cook, has been exceptional. He's either first or second in the league in passing efficiency, and their wide receiver, Luther Burden, is leading the nation in receptions and yards, if I'm not mistaken, one or the other, both a super player, and they're playing at a very high level. So we've got to get some things fixed and get back to work. So I'm excited about Monday, to be honest with you. I feel good about getting to work here this week.
Coach, how do you approach practice this week leading up to the game with Missouri?
Well, we got to get back to being who we are. We got to get. I saw somebody shot me an article, talked about Georgia's and then their approach, and they knew that it was going to be a physical game, and they preached it all week, and it talked to that. You guys probably saw the article, but somebody shot it to me, and it just reaffirmed what I tell my team all the time about Tuesday and Wednesday. 3 or 4 of their players are sitting there talking about how the game was won throughout the week. It was their most physical Tuesday. They were prepared that way. They had the mindset. They answered the challenge. We did not. So we have to get back to being who we are and having a great prep week.
To go back to that Florida game, you're really good at getting your guys kind of tuned up for it. Is there something that you can use from that week of prep?
Well, it's not end-all be-all, but in this league, and you heard Kirby talking about the week before, I mean, on the road is different than at home. It just is. I mean, you were there, right? I mean, you see that environment. You got a bunch of players that maybe aren't ready. If they haven't played in that situation, the best we can do is prepare them, through the week as best we can. But, momentum is a big deal when you start getting in a stadium like that. And, maybe we used it to our advantage a couple weeks ago. I don't know, but this is a whole new week. I know every time we play Missouri, it's a good football game. I have a lot of respect for Coach Drinkowitz. I like Eli. I know him. I could, we will both do everything we can to get our team prepared for this week and to play at a high level.
You mentioned Cook and Burden really throwing around the yard well. When you watch the film, what kind of happened in some of those breakdowns in the secondary where guys were just running free?
Well, they weren't necessarily running free. The first touchdown was an unbelievable throw. I mean, he layered that thing in there over 2 or 3 people, and they had a wideout that went up and grabbed it, at a very high point and ran it in the end zone. I mean, it wasn't exactly wide open, but it appeared that way to the naked eye because it looked so simple. But it was a beautiful throw and catch and finish. That was a very nice play. And then, a couple the one in particular that stands out when, we have, well, two, where you have one of the best players in the country running basically down the field free. There's no excuse. I mean, we have a backup linebacker in on one that's supposed to be, heavily rerouting the number 2 receiver, especially when it's him, when it's 19, and we don't touch him. And then there was another one where there was, I mentioned that I saw during the game. I could tell how they got confused. There was motion, and we just didn't play it very good, period. I'm not going to point the fingers, but we just blew it, just didn't play it very good, and there's really no excuse.
About handling adversity. On the flip side of that, what about coaching a team, getting them to handle the success you had against Florida? And do you feel like that figured into the preparation for this game at all?
Well, I don't know. I know I worked hard last week at being honest with the team and what I saw, and I mentioned it. I don't know when I talked to you guys, but I mentioned it to the team Tuesday after practice. I mean, I ripped them Tuesday after practice, and that's not scripted for me. That came from, that was what I saw. I told them exactly how I felt, and it wasn't a good enough day, period. And I went back and had another motivational team meeting on Wednesday, and I felt like we picked it up a little bit, but I'm not saying that was the end reason, but it certainly doesn't help.
Missouri has claimed Kentucky as their rival.
Pardon me?
Missouri has claimed Kentucky as their rival. For some reason, I think we know what some we saw. But anyway, nevertheless, from everything I gather, the feeling's not mutual.
Well, that's, I don't know, how you want to phrase it. Those are your words, not mine. We have great respect for Missouri, and I've already said it maybe twice, for sure this is the second time, how much respect I have for Missouri and how close our games always are. I know, I show our team a couple, just about every year. I showed them how, especially when we go up there, how they were ready to prepare and whooped our butt, 1 week, and we're very motivated. And again, I just said it in my last comments, the respect I have for Eli, and I know his teams. They play with an edge and an attitude, and they're going to come in here physical and coached up and ready to play, and we need to match that.
More effective.
Devin can make some of those crazy throws we've seen him make, and then miss some wide open guys as badly as he has. Is there something mechanical that's going on there differently? What does the film kind of show?
Sometimes it is his feet or his footwork, and sometimes it's him maybe expecting a receiver to run out at a different angle, and there's some little things, and there's some that just have to make. I mean, he doesn't need me to sit here and make an excuse for him. He's a big boy, and he owns it. And, just like everybody else on our team, you have to have the courage to see the areas that you need to improve on, and you have to own it. So.
Coach, you talked about how physical that game was. It seems like there's some guys banged up towards the end of that game. Jalen's just not fit. Sure, how banged up are you guys heading into this week?
Yeah, Jalen's is one that looks like he'll be out for a few weeks for sure. After that, we'll see, where it goes.
Coach can only, or coaches can only do so much during the week to get guys, whatever you want to call it, fired up, ready to play. That has to come from within the players themselves. You've got some seniors on this team. You've got some super seniors on this team. Have they stepped up yet? Have you seen them take the lead?
We'll see. I mean, I haven't seen them yet this week. I have to give them Sundays off, so we'll have our meeting here in a bit, and we need to lean on that leadership, and they definitely need to step forward.
Mark, Jagger had 2 penalties early in the game, holding and unsportsmanlike. Just what's kind of the message to him after that?
Well, the message was right during the game that it was completely unacceptable. It was just, there's zero excuse for both of them. On the first one, on the hold, he had him blocked. He had the player logged himself. He was coming to come under the guard. Jagger had him logged. There was no need whatsoever to try to sling him to the ground. None. He was blocked.
Mark, the one loss that Georgia turned 2 years ago turned into the 2 and the 3 in Mississippi State and Tennessee. Is there something you look for in your guys this week or first day? Something you look for, like, okay, they're off the mat, they're ready to go.
That's not going to happen. I can't predict who's going to win or lose this game because I have great respect for Missouri, again, and it's always a close game. And one of the reasons why it probably feels like a rivalry is because we play them all the time and we always seem to have great games with them. And so, our players know that as well and can respect that. And we know it's going to be a great challenge. They are playing at a very good clip right now. They're hitting on all cylinders, and their run defense is dynamic. They have disruptors on defense. Offensively, they're extremely efficient. Their wideouts are tough to defend. His scheme is tough to defend, and Brady is playing at a very, very high level. But we're not going to tolerate being mopey, being down, or we're going to address it. We're going to own it. We're going to look at our mistakes. We're all going to take our part, and then we'll move on.
Okay, after the game, Brad said, obviously it didn't go well, but there's not another group of.
Pardon me.
Brad said after the game, obviously it didn't go well, but the quote he said was, I wouldn't trade these guys for any other guys because they competed to the end. Did you see that on film? Even though things were not, you're getting drilled in front of a raucous crowd, did they compete to the end like you wanted them to?
I wasn't satisfied in any area, and I will not make excuses. I love these guys as well, and I have faith and confidence in them, but I cannot excuse that performance in any way.
Did anybody play well in that?
I thought, a guy, you take, for instance, like Dane Key had been frustrated a little bit, maybe some on him, some, just frustration, and down and really worked hard, to improve and just looked at himself and just looked at areas to improve. And it showed up on film, and not always just with the catches, and there's still areas of improvement without the ball and blocking on the perimeter and doing things that we have to do as an offense to be efficient. But, I thought it was a good example of just taking it to the practice field and working on your craft and trying to improve. And, I thought offensively, until the silly penalties, we had some good drives going, and we were running the ball. We had protection. We had time. We had guys open. We had the ability to move the football, and 2 penalties just absolutely just derailed us there. And again, defensively, uncharacteristically, just had no answers, in particular early, where they were scoring. So at that point, maybe you need to try to start matching. Now, obviously, that's going to be hard to do with Georgia, but you don't know where it's going to go, if you just get some points on the board. But I did think that we had some, well-designed plays. I thought we were able to move the ball effectively offensively, and we shot ourselves in the foot.
Ray had a good run on that first hold that ended up getting called back. It seemed like he was getting ready to have a solid game and then obviously fall behind and kind of lose the running game. But is there something you learned from that? Like Ray can, still has to be part of that even after falling behind.
I mean, I think we know that. I don't think we need to learn from that. But you can't let a team get ahead of you 21-0 when they hadn't lost an SEC game in 23 straight and they're playing at home at night.
Mark, under 50% completion rate through 3 SEC games, what do you have to do to kind of get that going?
Throw and catch the ball better.
Devin, do you feel like are you having to coach his confidence, or is it just like, is he going through a funk? What kind of?
No, I think he throws some balls that are very good, that'll wow you. That some things he does well. I mean, yeah, we have to look at everything. We have been looking at everything to see what he's comfortable with, to be efficient, to make sure we're throwing and catching. And he did at times, He did at times, and you know, and at times we didn't.
A lot of talk about Missouri's offense. What about their defense? What do you see from them?
Yeah, I see them. Typical Missouri defense. They run to the football. They play extremely hard, and that's why it's always a good game. I mean, I think both teams pride themselves on playing, very hard and very physical. They run to the football. They've been very disruptive up front. So they've been playing good. I think they played a very elite offense this past week themselves.
Mark, you talked in the past about margin of error being thin at Kentucky, and as your teams have improved, it seems like you've been able to overcome that a little bit. Was Saturday just a situation where Georgia was playing so well that thin margin was there again?
Well, you have to credit them. I mean, they were well prepared in all areas, and they played at an elite level. I mean, I think we could put them in a kind of a place by themselves right now, right? I mean, they there's not a lot of teams playing like them over the past 2.5 years, and they commented on it. They knew it. They were ready coming into our game, and they put it on us. I mean, you have to give them credit. For us, what you're talking about, the thin line between success and failure. I mean, you have to see it. What went on. You have to own it. And then you got to look for solutions, and then you got to go do it, and that's what we plan to do. I mean, I've always done it that way. I'm not going to run and hide. We're going to get back to work, and first thing we're going to do is show it to them. I don't. As bad as you want to burn the film and move on, you can't do it. You got to own it. You got to look at it and look at the problems.
Mark, with Jalen out for a while, how do you feel about your depth at safety there, and those young guys that probably have to play a little?
Yeah, I think Ty is a guy that's really, we're confident in. And Elijah will come up and give us some depth and play, give us some snaps. But Ty's a guy that I've been impressed with since we talked about him in camp. He'll get more quality snaps.
Mark, you mentioned Luther Burden's name a couple times. He's leading the nation in receiving yards and receiving yards per game. As a DB guy, what impresses you most when you kind of look at the film?
He's an elite player. I think he was #1 wideout in the country coming out. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's an elite guy. He's strong. He can run and make competitive catches. He can run by you, but he also is hard to get down.
Mark, with guys having to step up with some injuries in certain places, how do you prepare those who have not played too much this season to step up and carry this team forward?
Yeah, they prepare every day. I mean, we practice and put them in those situations. That's all we can do, is get them prepped each and every day, and they have to carry it over to the field. I think Saturday is a great example, as you were talking about, defensively, or the effort. I mean, it's just, when you don't play with technique and you play with bad eyes and you play good teams, you're going to get exposed in a real hurry.
How big is that this week? Brady's probably the most mobile quarterback you've played this season. I think you mentioned something about Graham moving the pocket for too much for your liking. How big is that?
Well, I think Graham, as I mentioned in the game, did a really nice job of finding, openings and moving within the pocket. And I think Brady does the same thing. They will intentionally give him some, half sprints or rolls a little bit, but he does a nice job of just, buying time. He likes sitting back there because he's got some weapons, and so when he has time, he's going to find one of those guys.
I know one of the responsibilities of the head coach is to coach his own coaches. What was your message to them and
To the coaches?
Yeah, to the staff after a game like that? What's your message to your own coaches?
Well, first of all, I believe in each and every one of them and everything we're doing, and I have great confidence that we'll get it fixed. There's no panic, but I also don't ever put my head in the sand and just think that we just have to move on status quo. We got to take a serious, good look at ourselves each and every week, and make sure we're doing the things necessary to put our players in a position to be successful. And I'm not going to throw anybody. I mean, when I say that, it's on me. That's not coach speak. Oh, he's saying the same crap. It's the truth. I mean, That's on me, but I believe in our coaches. But I also, they can take hard coaching too. They could look at themselves, as I just said, that, I told you, and it's not coach speak. We're gonna look at it. We see it, and then we have to own it. And then we have to solve it.